My sister convinced my fiancé I was cheating by photoshopping fake texts the day before our wedding, then tried to comfort him by sleeping with him. So I did this with their private messages, and now they're both homeless. I, female, 29, need to get this out somewhere because I literally don't know what to do, and my hands are still shaking typing this. My entire life just fell apart. The day before my wedding to my fiancé Norman, male 31 of 3 years, and I'm still trying to process what happened. Sorry in advance if this is all over the place. I've barely slept in the past 24 hours, and my thoughts are just everywhere. I don't even know where to start, honestly. I guess I'll try to give the background. Norman and I met at this charity fundraiser 3 years ago where we got seated at the same table my company bought a table for. We hit it off immediately, and everything just clicked, you know? He proposed with my grandmother's old ring. We even bought a condo together 6 months ago. That's how solid I thought we were. Who buys property with someone they don't trust completely, right? I should probably mention my sister Brianna, female 27, because she's kind of important to this whole mess. We've always had this complicated relationship. I was always the responsible one growing up. Good grades, steady job, savings account, you know the type. My parents literally introduced me as the smart one to relatives, which was messed up now that I think about it. Brianna is more free-spirited, which is fine, but she's been struggling to get her graphic design career off the ground. She moved back into our parents' basement apartment temporarily 2 years ago and is still there. I've tried to help her get connections through my tech company for freelance work, but nothing ever seems to stick for her. There's always been this weird thing between us that got worse when our parents gave me our grandmother's old ring. When Norman proposed, Brianna had always talked about how much she loved that ring growing up, but our parents decided I should have it since I was getting engaged first. I offered to let her borrow it for her future wedding, but she just got really quiet and said, "It's fine in that way. That definitely means it's not fine," and then didn't talk to me for 2 weeks after. Anyway, the wedding planning was stressful. Whose isn't, right? My mom became obsessed with the flower arrangements. I developed this weird, mild allergy to the fabric in my wedding dress, but refused to get a new one 6 weeks before the wedding. Just planned to take a lot of Benadryl. Norman's best man, Colin, accidentally sent the rehearsal dinner invitations with the wrong time, so we had to call everyone individually to correct it. Just normal wedding chaos, I thought. I did notice Norman seemed increasingly distant the past few weeks, checking his phone a lot more, being vague about his schedule. I honestly just thought it was pre-wedding nerves and stress from this big project at his architecture firm. I never suspected. God, I still can't believe this happened. So the rehearsal dinner was last night. Everything seemed fine, mostly. Norman's mother gave this super inappropriate toast about how she never thought her son would settle down and made this weird comment about how I finally trapped him. Ugh. The restaurant had specially prepared my favorite dessert, chocolate lava cake with raspberry sauce that I'm obsessed with. Then everything went bad. Norman got a text during dinner and I saw his face change. He excused himself, then came back and asked if we could step outside for a minute. I joked about wedding superstitions as we walked out, but he didn't even smile. Once we were outside, he showed me his phone with screenshots. They were supposedly explicit text conversations between me and my coworker Walter. I was completely confused because I never sent these messages. I kept telling him they weren't from me, but he wouldn't listen. Then he scrolled to show these intimate photos that were supposedly from me to Walter. I got increasingly upset because none of this was real. I kept telling him someone must be trying to sabotage our wedding, that this was all fake and someone was setting me up, but he just kept scrolling through everything with this cold look on his face that I'd never seen before. He said he also received hotel receipts showing me and Walter meeting during times I'd told Norman I was working late. I was literally begging him at this point to believe me. I was crying and pleading with him to believe me, but everything is kind of a blur because I was panicking so much. And he just looked at me with this cold expression I'd never seen before and told me the evidence was irrefutable and that it came from someone who cares about me. Then he said he was calling off the wedding and just walked back inside, left me there. The humiliation of walking back into that restaurant, I felt so ashamed. Norman was already telling everyone the wedding was canceled because I had been cheating. My parents looked shocked. His parents looked disgusted. Our friends were just staring. I couldn't even form words to defend myself. I just stood there with everyone looking at me like I was this terrible person and I couldn't even breathe properly. And I wanted to scream that it wasn't true, but nothing would come out of my mouth. The weird thing was, Brianna immediately came over and put her arm around me. She told me we should get out of there and said something about men being quick to believe the worst. I was so in shock, I let her lead me out. She was being super supportive. I was too devastated to question it at the time. I know this sounds completely crazy, but I swear I'm normally really good at spotting liars and manipulators. I work in tech security, for God's sake. This blindsided me so completely. I went back to our condo late last night to pack some essentials. I figured Norman would stay with a friend. We haven't really figured out the whole condo situation yet, which is a whole other nightmare I can't even think about right now. I was grabbing my toiletries when his phone lit up on the counter with a text. I wasn't snooping, I swear, but I saw it right there from Brianna telling Norman she was there if he needed someone to talk to, and that no one should be alone after something like that. Something about that text just felt wrong. Why would my sister be texting my fiancé, who just humiliated me in front of our entire family and friends, especially offering to be there for him? It just felt wrong. Like, really, really wrong. I decided to stay with my friend Jennifer instead of going to my parents' house where Brianna might be. I need to figure out what the hell is going on. Those messages were fake. Those photos were manipulated somehow. And I'm starting to think my own sister might be involved. I don't know what to do next, but I know I need to clear my name and find out what really happened. My life is ruined for no reason, and I'm not going to just accept it without finding out the truth. Edit. Some people are asking if Walter and I were ever close or if there was any reason Norman might suspect something. No. Walter is literally just a coworker on my team. He's married with 2 kids and we've never had anything but a professional relationship. We've maybe had lunch in the company cafeteria a few times with other team members. That's IT. Edit 2. Yes, I've tried calling Norman, but he's not answering. I sent him a text saying we need to talk and that I didn't do what he's accusing me of, but he just responded, "The evidence speaks for itself," and then stopped responding. I'm basically being ghosted by the man I was supposed to marry tomorrow. Edit 3. To everyone asking about the text messages, no, I didn't get to see them closely enough to analyze them. Norman was scrolling pretty fast, and I was in shock. But I know I never sent them. I have literally never texted anything inappropriate to Walter or anyone else while with Norman. Edit 4. I just realized I never mentioned I have absolutely no idea who would have sent the evidence to Norman. He said it was from someone who cares about him, but wouldn't tell me who. That plus seeing my sister's text later is what's making me suspicious, but I don't want to jump to conclusions yet. Though honestly, who else would it be? Now for the first update. So a lot has happened in the week since my last post. First, thank you all for the support and advice. I wasn't expecting so many comments and messages. My mom has called like 8 times asking if I'm ready to come clean about the affair yet, which is infuriating because there was no affair. She left this voicemail yesterday basically saying I should admit what I did so we can all move forward, and I got so angry. Anyway, I finally started actually investigating this whole mess. I needed to understand what evidence Norman supposedly had, so I reached out to Walter, my coworker who I was allegedly cheating with. We met for coffee on Tuesday at a place far from our office because I'm not ready for the workplace gossip. Walter was really helpful about the whole thing. I showed him the screenshots that Norman had received. I had taken pictures of Norman's phone when he was showing me. Walter immediately pointed out he was in Barcelona with his wife during 2 of the dates when we supposedly met at hotels. He pulled up his Instagram showing pictures of him and his wife at Park Güell on one of those exact dates. Walter noticed the messages didn't even look like our company messaging system. The font was slightly different and the timestamps were formatted wrong. I hadn't even noticed that. Then I showed him the hotel receipts and he pointed out something I completely missed. They listed my middle name as Anne when it's actually Marie. Like, if I was booking hotel rooms for secret meetups, pretty sure I'd know my own middle name. Walter asked if my sister could be involved since she does graphic design. This kind of manipulation would be easy for someone with those skills. I immediately defended Brianna. I said she wouldn't do that to me. We have our issues, but she wouldn't completely destroy my life like this. Walter reminded me that she texted Norman right after everything happened. The timing seemed suspicious. That's when things started clicking. I remembered how Brianna had always looked at Norman in a certain way, and how she was immediately by my side at the rehearsal dinner. I didn't want to believe my own sister could do this. I kept thinking there had to be another explanation, but I couldn't ignore the possibility anymore. So I tried logging into Brianna's cloud storage account. I've helped her with tech stuff before, and she always uses the same password for everything, our childhood dog's name Peanut, plus her birth year. And it worked. I got in immediately, which honestly just shows how careless she was about the whole thing. And there it was, a folder labeled N&E Wedding, right there in her cloud storage. I felt sick opening it, but I had to know. The folder contained everything. The original photos that had been manipulated to look like me in compromising positions. They were mostly stock photos with my face photoshopped on. Templates of fake text conversations between me and Walter, and multiple versions of hotel receipts with different dates, like she was practicing getting them right. At first, I thought maybe she was gathering evidence against whoever was framing me. That's how much I didn't want to believe my own sister would do this. But I needed to be sure. So I went back to our condo when I knew Norman would be at work and grabbed our shared laptop. Norman's cloud account was still linked to it. Using some basic recovery tools, I managed to recover deleted messages between Norman and Brianna going back months. I got sick after reading them. Turns out, Brianna and Norman knew each other from college, before he met me. Something neither of them ever mentioned in 3 years. They'd been messaging each other this whole time, with Norman confiding in her about doubts about our wedding. And the worst part? Messages confirming they spent the night together after the rehearsal dinner, after he accused me of cheating and humiliated me in front of everyone we know. He went straight to her. I've always trusted people, always given them the benefit of the doubt, even when they didn't deserve it. I texted Norman. I couldn't handle seeing him in person. Me, when did you first reconnect with Brianna? He didn't respond for hours. Then finally, he texted that they were just friends supporting each other through a difficult time. So I sent him screenshots of their explicit conversations from after the rehearsal dinner. His phone called me right away. I asked him point blank if he slept with Brianna the night he called off our wedding. He hesitated, then admitted it, but claimed it just happened in a moment of weakness. I asked if they planned the fake evidence together. He denied this immediately, insisting Brianna just showed him proof of my cheating, and he believed her because the evidence was convincing. Then I told him I found the files on Brianna's cloud showing how she created everything. He went completely silent. Then he said I was controlling for hacking into people's accounts. I hung up. I couldn't. He was trying to make me the bad guy for discovering their lies. Next was Brianna. I went to my parents' house knowing she'd be there. They were surprised to see me. Brianna tried to act all concerned at first. "How are you holding up?" I showed her printouts of everything I'd found. The manipulated photos, the fake texts, the hotel receipts with my wrong middle name, and finally, the messages between her and Norman. She denied everything at first, called me crazy, said I was making things up because I couldn't accept that Norman didn't want me anymore. But when I pulled out the messages where she talked about how they would live together in our condo after I was gone, she finally broke. She admitted she's always had feelings for him since college and that they were meant to be together until I came along. My parents tried to mediate, which was a joke. My dad actually suggested I forgive my sister's mistake because family is forever. Are you kidding me? This wasn't a mistake. This was months of planned lies. I found more messages later. Ones where Brianna told Norman I would get over it eventually because I always land on my feet. Like destroying my wedding and relationship was just a minor inconvenience I should bounce back from. They've already discussed moving in together, in our condo, the one I helped pay for. I'm not just walking away from this. They don't get to destroy my life, steal my home, and face zero consequences. I've spoken to a lawyer about the condo ownership. I've documented all evidence of their lies, and I'm formulating a plan. They used fake private messages to destroy what should have been the happiest day of my life. It seems only fair that I should use their actual private messages to show everyone who they really are. Edit. To those asking if I've told Walter about the updates, yes, he knows everything now. He's been supportive and even offered to speak to Norman directly, but I told him to stay out of it for his own sake. Edit 2. Several people have asked if I had any clues before this. Looking back, yeah, there were signs I completely missed, like how Brianna would always find reasons to drop by when Norman was home, or how she'd text him directly instead of going through me for wedding stuff. I just thought they were becoming friends, which seemed nice at the time. God, I was so stupid. Now for the second update. It's been about 3 weeks since I found out my sister and ex-fiancé were behind everything. I've been basically homeless. Well, not actually homeless, but you know what I mean, since then. Bouncing between friends' apartments. First Jennifer's, then my college roommate Allie's, and now I'm staying with my coworker Priya. I can't thank these women enough, honestly. My boss Pamela has been weirdly amazing through all this. She gave me 2 weeks paid leave, even though I've only been at the company for like 18 months, and connected me with the company's legal team for free advice. I guess having your wedding spectacularly implode is the kind of personal crisis that makes even corporate America show a human side for once. The other night, I found myself going through all my wedding planning spreadsheets at like 2 a.m. I still haven't deleted them, which is probably not healthy, but whatever. I just sat there looking at my color-coded tabs for centerpieces and seating arrangements and vendor payments and just, like, what was it all for? Hundreds of hours of planning down the drain. I paid $600 for custom napkins with our names and wedding date that are now sitting in a box in Priya's spare closet. $600 for paper people wipe their mouths with, and I have 200 of them. Great souvenir. Anyway, since my last update, I've been kind of obsessive about gathering evidence. I've created this whole system for organizing everything. Folder 1, the original fake texts Brianna created to frame me. Folder 2, all the manipulation files from Brianna's cloud storage showing how she did it. Folder 3, all the messages between Norman and Brianna planning how to break us up. Folder 4, their explicit conversations from after my wedding was canceled. I made multiple backups of everything too. Cloud storage, external hard drive, even printed the most important stuff. I'm a security analyst for a reason, I guess. Everyone kept telling me to move on and focus on healing, but I couldn't. Not until I confronted them both one more time. Part of me, a really stupid, naive part, I guess, hoped they might actually show genuine remorse if I faced them directly. I wanted to look them in the eyes when they explained why they destroyed my life. So I texted Brianna first, asked her to meet me at this coffee shop downtown, far from our parents' place and anywhere Norman might be. I got there early and got a table in the back corner so we could talk privately. She showed up 20 minutes late, looking defensive, despite trying to seem casual. She had this weird smile that didn't reach her eyes. She ordered some complicated latte and acted like this was just a normal sister coffee date. I asked her point blank if she regretted what she did. She tucked her hair behind her ear and told me she was sorry I got hurt, but that wasn't what she wanted. She claimed she and Norman have real feelings for each other and always have. I showed her the printouts of all the manipulation files I found on her cloud, the ones showing exactly how she photoshopped my face onto those women in compromising positions. When I asked why she needed to fake evidence that I was cheating, she actually rolled her eyes and said I wouldn't understand. She complained that I always get everything: the good job, nice apartment, and the ring that should have been hers. She even brought up that Grandma always liked me better. I was shocked and asked if she helped destroy my marriage because of Grandma's ring. She said it wasn't just the ring, but everything, that I always win, and she just wanted something I couldn't have. When I told her I could press charges for defamation and identity fraud, she scoffed and said it would just be my word against hers. That's when I told her I had everything, every file, message, and step of their plan documented and backed up. She looked scared for the first time and asked what I was going to do with it. I just got up and left. I tried the same thing with Norman later that week, meeting at a park bench near our old condo. He showed up looking tired, but immediately told me he hoped I wasn't there to try to get back together because what he has with Brianna is real. When I asked if he regretted what he did to me, he only said he regretted how things turned out, not what he actually did. When I pointed out they fabricated evidence to make me look like a cheater, he just shrugged and said we would have broken up eventually anyway. I asked if he ever actually loved me or if I was just keeping his bed warm until he could be with my sister. He didn't answer. which told me everything I needed to know. After those conversations, I knew what I needed to do. I spent a weekend creating a comprehensive, password-protected website containing all the evidence. Everything was organized chronologically, with timestamped screenshots, the original photos that were manipulated, and full transcripts of their messages. Then I created a spreadsheet of everyone who needed to see the truth. 1. Every single wedding guest who witnessed my humiliation. 2. Norman's boss and key colleagues at his architecture firm, which works with a lot of religious clients. 3. The design agency that had just hired Brianna for a permanent position. 4. Our extended family members, including our judgy Aunt Martha, who I knew would spread it further. 5. The condo association board. Our building has this strict morality clause that Norman himself insisted on. I sent personalized links to each person or group with different passwords. I didn't include any commentary, just, here is the evidence of what actually happened before my wedding was canceled. The fallout was significant. Norman's architecture firm put him on immediate leave within 48 hours. Turns out their religious clients didn't appreciate seeing their architect planning to leave his fiancé for her sister. They eventually fired him after clients requested different architects. The design agency rescinded Brianna's job offer, citing concerns about professional ethics and judgment in the email, which she forwarded to our parents while blaming me. My parents finally saw the full extent of what happened, including messages where Brianna openly mocked them. There was one where she called our mom a controlling witch who would probably die alone because nobody can stand her. That was apparently the final straw because they confronted Brianna and asked her to move out of their basement apartment. And the condo association, chef's kiss. They cited their morality clause to force a sale of the property, which actually worked in my favor because it allowed me to reclaim my investment. I didn't feel happy exactly, more like vindicated. I just felt like balance was restored. About a week after I sent out all the links, I was back staying at Jennifer's. We were making dinner when someone started pounding on her door. It was Norman and Brianna. Norman was shouting that I had destroyed their lives and demanding I face them. Jennifer called building security while I calmly opened the door. Brianna was crying, saying she'd been evicted and lost her job offer. Norman looked disheveled and told me his firm fired him, and now none of his industry contacts would return his calls. I asked if they expected to face no consequences for what they did. Norman got self-righteous, saying what they did was personal, while I had made it public. I laughed and reminded him that he humiliated me publicly at my own wedding in front of everyone I know. Brianna got on her knees and begged me to take down the website, promising to tell everyone the truth. I told her the website already shows everyone the truth and closed the door. It's been almost 3 months since the wedding that wasn't. Norman had to move to a small town 3 states away to find work. He's working at a tiny architecture firm doing mainly residential renovations, quite a step down from his prestigious firm in the city. Brianna has been couch surfing with increasingly reluctant friends. Without a job or savings, she couldn't get her own place. Last I heard from my mom, who still calls me once a week hoping I'll forgive my sister, Brianna is staying with her old college roommate, who's already dropping hints about timeframes and exit plans. As for me, I have mixed feelings about all of it. I'm satisfied that justice was served, but I'm sad about the permanent damage to my family relationships. My parents still hope we'll all reconcile someday, which shows how delusional they are. Some things can't be fixed. I used my portion of the condo sale to rent a new apartment. It's smaller than our condo was, but it's mine. No one else's name on the lease. I started therapy to process the betrayal. My therapist says I have trust issues now, you think, but that it's normal after what happened. I actually got promoted at work last month. Pamela said the way I handled the personal crisis while maintaining professionalism impressed the executive team. So at least there's that. A new colleague asked me to dinner next week. I said yes, but I'm terrified. How do you trust anyone after something like this? I keep thinking I'll see the signs next time, but I didn't see any signs with Norman until it was too late. I lost my fiancé and my sister in one traumatic event, but I discovered my own strength and the value of genuine relationships. The friends who've supported me through this have become my real family. Some might think my revenge was excessive, but Norman and Brianna didn't just betray me. They tried to make me look bad and make me think I was at fault. Now they're both basically homeless, moving between couches and struggling to rebuild their careers they ruined with their betrayal. I sometimes wonder if they realize that all of this could have been avoided if they'd simply been honest from the beginning. I lost a wedding day, but they lost their homes, their jobs, and their credibility. And I've learned that while forgiveness might be divine, consequences are absolutely necessary. Edit. Since so many people are asking, no, I haven't spoken to either of them since the confrontation at Jennifer's apartment. They've both tried to contact me through various channels, but I've blocked them everywhere. Edit 2. To answer the questions about the website, yes, it's still up. I've set it to automatically delete after 1 year. I don't want this to follow them forever, just long enough for them to understand actions have consequences. Edit 3. Someone asked if I ever found out when exactly they started their relationship. From the recovered messages, it looks like they reconnected about 8 months before our wedding. The emotional affair started then, but they claim the physical part only started after the rehearsal dinner. I don't believe them, obviously. Edit 4. Thanks for all the awards and support. This community helped me feel less crazy when I was at my lowest point. I might not respond to everyone, but I'm reading all your comments.